Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So for those of you who don't know, I've been collecting watches for a long time. This is the first watch I ever got. My mom got this watch for me when I was about 9 years old. It's a Sylvester and Tweety Bird watch. I'm going to do a review on this one. And throughout the years, I've been buying Fossils and Diesels and Nixons and Invictas and Armani Exchange, like all the designer brands I've bought. Until I bought my Citizen Skyhawk. And I'm going to be doing a review on that one because that one is pretty much my favorite watch I have in my collection. And after I bought that watch, I wore that watch every day to work, to school, to church, everywhere. Dressed it up, dressed it down, took it with me when I went on travels and stuff like that. Never needed another watch. And then a few, like I would go throughout the years, look at watches, say I've always wanted an Omega, this, that, and the other. And then I found a watch that it just stuck with me in the back of my head. And every time I thought about it, I was like, man, I really, really want to get that watch. And this is the watch. It's the Timex Q Timex. Timex Q Timex? It's just the Q Timex. This is a really cool sports watch. I love everything about it. It's so cool, so retro. Now, obviously, this is not going to be a watch where it's going to be the focal point of your collection, but it's very cool whenever you want to pair it up with different outfits and stuff like that. I usually wore it a lot last summer. Not last summer because we were, this whole thing happened. But the summer before that, I wore it a lot and absolutely loved it. Very, very cool. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera and then we'll get a closer look at this Q Timex. So here it is, the Q Timex. Now this is the original design, the blue dial, Pepsi bezel. They do offer a lot more colors now. Coke bezels, gold watches, root beer, white dials. Pretty much anything that you want, they have now. So if you want to check out the Timex website, they've got a lot of different options here, but the sizes of the watch and everything like that should remain the same. So let's get into the specifications here. The dial of the watch is 37.9 millimeters, a lug to lug of 44.5 millimeters, a lug width. Now, it does come with hooded lugs. So right here is actually 23 millimeters, but the lug width on the actual links here, the actual bracelet is 18 millimeters. And it's about 11.2 millimeters thick, depending on where you take the measurement. Like if you took the measurement with the battery hatch, obviously it'd be a little bit thicker there, but 11.2 millimeter thickness is what I got here. And it weighs in at about 89 grams. So it's fairly light. It does come with 50 meters of water resistance. So I wouldn't necessarily take this scuba diving or anything like that, snorkeling, but to the pool, not a bad idea. Or not a bad choice, I should say. The crystal is acrylic. It's actually a very heavy domed piece of acrylic. If you can look at that, it does stick up very high off that bezel. So this can get scuffed up pretty easy since it does have that nice domed look to it. And it offers us some really nice distortion if you're into that kind of thing, into that vintage look. So that does look very nice. The acrylic part, it just fits with the time period. So you're not going to get the sapphire, you're not going to even get mineral crystal. In that time period, it was a lot of acrylic stuff. So, it is a reissue, so take that in mind. You might want to pick up some poly watch when you buy this. So as far as the case finishing goes, we do have a high polish on the top and horizontal brushing on the hooded lugs here. On the side, same high polish. And the crown is unsigned and it's slightly small at 4.8 millimeters. But you're not going to really be hand winding it or anything like that, so that's fine. It's not the end of the world. Getting into the dial here, we do have a nice matte navy blue dial with crisp white lettering and a white bordering around the date window, the day and date window, I should say. The indices are all printed on, and it comes with a nice white minute track around the outside. The lume on this is actually pretty good, which I was surprised. But the indices do come with like a greenish tinge to them that plays into the aesthetic, I guess, of the time period. And as you can see, we got batons at the 6 and 9, triangle at the top, circle indices around, and the day and date window at the 3 o'clock. So the Q does come with a faux style Mercedes handset made out of stainless steel. Pretty good lume on the hands as well. And the second hand adds a nice pop of red, which kind of matches the aesthetic of the bezel itself. And I guess speaking of that bezel, I guess we'll jump into that here. It is a bi-directional friction fit bezel. And I've had this watch for about a year now, maybe a little bit over a year. So the bezel actually has gotten a little bit easier to turn. So keep that in mind. It does have an aluminum insert, and this is the Pepsi version, like I said before. The bezel itself is not lumed though, so keep that in mind. I don't know if I could fault them for that. I mean, this is a reissue of an older watch, so I don't know. Maybe if they upgraded this watch even further, I don't know. I guess the Q, they couldn't really make an automatic version of the Q, but if they want to make a higher end one where they added more lume, I'm not sure if the Hodinkee one actually comes with a lumed bezel. I'll have to check into that. But yeah, there is no lume on the bezel itself, but the lume on the hands is actually pretty good. Moving on to that date window, let's go ahead and pop the crown so I could show you guys, obviously, the hacks. Let's go ahead and turn this around here. Okay, we'll go all the way around. I'm going to show you with the day and date window here how long it takes for everything to click over. Here's kind of like a con here. So it started moving around, what was that? 10 o'clock? And it clicks over here just before midnight. And if we keep turning it here, the day finally starts to change at 1 in the morning. Goes to German? French? Don't know what that is. And then fully clicks over at around, what is that, 3:30, 3:45? Somewhere in that time. So that is kind of a negative there, how it takes forever for it to change over. And I guess let's pull that crown back out again. To change the date, I mean, it's simple. You pull it to the first position. Oop. Put it back in there. But there is no quick set on the day. So you're going to have to manually go around. Come on now. If you want to change the actual day, you have to keep going around until it switches over. So that is another little negative there when it comes to the entire day window. So moving down the bracelet here, it starts off at 21.5 millimeters and tapers down to the end here to 15.8 millimeters. And here we do have a nice signed clasp here with Timex written on there. And if you did ever want to adjust the bracelet itself, all you have to do is pop in a screwdriver right here and pop it up. And then you're free to go wherever you want. And then you just put it down. And there it is. That's how you adjust it. Very simple, very easy. Now, people have complained about this watch being a hair puller, but I've owned this watch for over a year now, and I've only had maybe 1 or 2 issues with it pulling a hair out. So I don't really see that problem. Maybe if you had hairier arms, you might have, obviously a different say-so, but for me, everything was good. All right, flipping this watch over to the case back. One cool feature that this watch does have is a battery hatch. Now, all you got to do is put a coin in there, unscrew it, and you can very easily change out the battery. Now, they made this watch during the quartz crisis, so they really wanted to make this watch very easy to operate, very easy to handle, very easy to take care of. So they added this battery hatch where all you needed was a coin to unscrew it and change out the battery. On the battery hatch itself, you could see the words Timex and the type of battery that you need. I think it's a 377E cell. And it also tells you the direction of how to open it and close it, if you never learned the righty-tighty, lefty-loosey rule. And the case back itself is held down by these 4 screws. Now, will you ever need to take the watch apart since you have this battery hatch here? Most likely not. So I wouldn't really worry about messing with this unless the movement itself goes bad. But that's going to be a rarity, and yeah, you wouldn't really have to worry about that all that much. So let me go ahead and pop this on the wrist to show you guys what it looks like on my 7.5-inch wrist. Right now I am wearing my Alpina start timer, and as you can see, the difference between these two. This watch, the Alpina, is a 44 millimeter. This one's a small little 38. So let's go ahead and pop it on the wrist, and I can show you guys what it looks like. Oops, put that in the wrong way there. So there it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. I like the proportions on this watch a lot. At first I thought it was going to be slightly small. I didn't think that the 38 millimeter would fit my wrist all that well, but this watch, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the hooded lugs with the integrated bracelet or what, but the 38 millimeter actually looks pretty good, and it actually might look better than a bigger 44 millimeter watch. It's just funny looking at that. I mean, look, the size difference. Now this is a Flieger, so take that with a grain of salt, but overall this watch looks very nice, and I go back and forth with this and my gold Seiko. I'll pop up a link right there if you want to watch the review on that. But whenever I'm choosing my 80s style outfit with my floral shirts or whatever it is, I go between this and that gold Seiko. So let me go ahead and flip the camera around, and I'll give you my pros and cons and final thoughts about this Timex. And there it is, the Q Timex. I love this little thing. It's such a cool little sports watch, and it doesn't fit for every single occasion, but especially in the summer, I just feel like it really adds a lot. You could wear it to the pool, or you can wear it, you know, while you're out getting a couple drinks. Very nice watch, very cool. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a pros and cons of the watch, see if I recommend it. Obviously, I kind of recommend it. So here we go. The first con I have, and it's going to go to, like, obviously it's going to happen. It's the acrylic crystal. And I say obviously it's going to be a con because it is acrylic, but they can't really update it because it is a callback to the 1979 Timex. So of course they're going to use acrylic, and it's going to have the downside of acrylic. Now, if you are going to buy this watch, I also recommend getting a tube of poly watch, $5, $10, whatever it is. Put it on the crystal, it's going to shine it up real nice. And yeah, so I mean, it just goes with the territory. The acrylic crystal, it's going to scuff easy, scratch easy, but it's faithful to the, you know, the 70s and 80s. So that's con number one. My next con is going to be the time it takes for the day and date to click over. I think the date clicks over in 20 minutes, we did, and the day takes, I don't know, a few hours for it to fully change over, which can, you know, if you're out in the middle of the night and you look down, you're like, it looks kind of odd. So that's going to be a minor nitpick. Another con is going to be the price. For $179, do you get what you pay for? That's the question. Do you want to spend $180 on a quartz piece? Granted, an iconic quartz piece, but a quartz piece. I mean, you could get, you could spend $40-50 on a G-Shock 5600, and that you can bash around all you want. It's not going to damage the watch at all. This one, only 50 meters of water resist. acrylic crystal. Yeah, you get the stainless steel design, but is it going to give you that longevity that a G-Shock would? Probably not. So that's the only thing is that it might be slightly too high of a price to pay for an analog quartz watch. And for my last very, very minor thing is the seconds hand doesn't hit pretty much any of the indices on the dial. The seconds hand has the accuracy of a stormtrooper. It's that bad. Do you need it to hit every indice? No, not at all. All you care about is the hour and the minute hand. You're not taking this, into battle or anything like that. So as long as it tells the hour and the minute, you're fine. But it's a very small nitpick, but I have to say it. But enough about the cons. Let's move on to the pros. And the pros, what you're going to get for that $180 is going to be a cool design with a bunch of different color options. Now, I'm going to go ahead and list off these color options here. You have the blue Pepsi. This is the original. You have a black dial Coke. You have a root beer. So it's like a rose gold material with the brown bezel. You have a gold, black, and blue option. You have a blue and orange bezel, a black and green bezel, and you also have a white dial Pepsi. You're gonna get the style that you want. It's gonna fit whatever outfits you're going with. You could buy 3-4 of them, change up in the outfits. I mean, I love the root beer option and the gilt Timex, the gold one with the black and blue bezels. It's so cool. It's very cool. They have a lot of cool colorways. I like my original, with the Pepsi dial, but I kind of am leaning towards getting a gold one with the blue and black bezel. That can take over for my Seiko that I have and kind of kill two birds with one stone pretty much. So that's going to be my first pro, is just the amount of options they have. The next pro I have is going to be the lume on the dial and on the hands. Pretty good. It's actually not too bad for it being a sports watch. I know it's not a dive watch, and I know the bezel itself is not lumed at all. But the lume that's on the watch itself is pretty cool, pretty good. It's going to show up at night and everything like that. So, and the last pro, which actually surprised me, is the size. It's not that bad. I have a 7.5-inch wrist, and this actually looks pretty good. I mean, I was a little shocked. I saw 38 millimeters, and I thought that's going to be way too small. I'm going to return it. And then I put it on the wrist, and I sat there for a minute, and I was like, does this look small? Because I used to wear, 45 millimeter watches. I have that Bulova. I believe that's a 45 millimeter. And then I come all the way down here to a 38. And I'm kind of in shock a little bit that the proportions fit my wrist very well, and it's going to fit. If it can fit my wrist at 7.5 inches, it's going to fit anybody's. And unless you have like an 8-inch wrist, which not a lot of people do, you're going to find the proportions on this watch to be pretty good. It might be slightly small, but it's going to fit a wide range of people. And when you're looking for a watch, the proportions matter. So that's going to be my last pro. So is this watch worth $180? I think so. I think you're going to have a very enjoyable experience wearing this watch. If you're on the fence, I would probably say go to eBay, pick up a used one, and see if you like it. They might come with scuffed up crystals, which, like I said, get the poly watch. But that might be the better option. You could probably get, I know you could probably get this watch for about $120, $130. It'll save you a little bit. Unless you want to get like the Hodinkee white dial stainless steel bezel. That one they might have to pay a premium for. But for any of the colors on eBay, they're probably going for under what the list price is. I know when this watch first came out, the prices were a little bit of a premium on eBay. People were buying them and then selling them right away. Supply and the demand has kind of balanced out as well. Now they do have enough watches where you can buy them brand new. You don't have to pay that eye-gouging price that you did before back in 2019. So should be able to find a good used one on eBay for cheaper than what a new one costs now. So yeah, if you want to go the eBay route, get a used one, by all means, I recommend that as well. So that's it. That's going to be the review. I highly recommend this watch at the list price or at a used price. I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you're going to like it a lot. So thank you for watching. I'm going to pop up a couple videos. Got my latest unboxing and my buddy Luke's reaction videos. So don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one.